teasing before the break about PK Subban, and of course, people are wondering why. This guy's a Norris Trophy winner, he's a superstar. You'd think you'd want him in the clutch. I know Mike Babcock will be considering him for the Olympic team, speaking of which, but guys, what is Michel Therrien doing, putting this guy on the bench during clutch situations? I thought he was your top guy. Can you explain this?
But being clutch is they're trying to prevent a goal, right? If you're down, or if you're down by a goal, you put PK Subban out. If you're trying to keep a lead, you sit him on the bench. I agree with Michel Therrien. It's like Glenn Sather and Paul Coffey back in the day, right? Like Coffey was the best offensive player there was, but defensively, whew, he scared you.
But I'll say this: PK is a Norris Trophy winner, so not only is he scoring goals, but he must be doing something on the back end to actually deserve what he's doing. It's not just offensively, but defensively too, right?
Well,
and
yes and no.
I'm thinking this situation. I know he made some gaffes against Anaheim, but you have a tie game. Here's a scenario: a tie game against St. Louis. And what do? You put the guy on the ice to get you that goal. You just said he's a guy that'll get you that goal if you're even down or want to win it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't on the ice. He put guys like Rafi Diaz, Douglas Murray, who's slow as molasses.
Yeah, true.
But on the ice, but that's what I'm getting at.
The thing is, there's a difference between what PK brings to a game than what your shutdown defense does. And your shutdown defense, as slow as he is, and you can hear the beeping noise as he backs up, Douglas Murray is a good shutdown guy. If they want to cycle it down low, it's pretty hard to move Douglas Murray. He's 200 and whatever. He's a pop machine with legs, right? Yeah. So Douglas Murray's a good shutdown guy. They have other guys that are good shutdown. PK, maybe not the strongest down low, maybe not the strongest along the boards. Great offensively, but in his own end, yeah, there's somebody that could be shutting him down a lot better.
Okay, guys. So you agree with Michel Therrien, is what you're saying. All right, let's move on. I don't know if you guys would agree with this deal, but I know the Edmonton Oilers have been desperate for a netminder. They finally picked up one that didn't cost them a Nail Yakupov of that nature. We're talking about Ilya Bryzgalov, who's now with the OKC Barons as a warm-up stint. I know you're shaking your head, Greg, but this seems like a good fit. You got a guy who signed a one-year minimum basement bargain deal. Give him incentives to let him play and earn his big-time money. But do you think this is a smart move, and do you think we'll see the old Ilya? He's not in Philly anymore. Remember what happened to other goalies that I've mentioned there?
The
Bobrovsky,
graveyard, the
example.
Philly graveyard for goalies.
Yeah. I'm thinking he'll be back to his old Phoenix ways. Give him a little bit of time, because he's been out of the game a bit, but I think he could reach that level. You guys are smiling and laughing. You gotta be honest, man.
I'm a diehard Oiler fan, and I don't know. You got to experiment, right? Edmonton is weak in goal, but I'm happy that they only signed him to 1 year instead of like a 2-year, because of that 24/7 that he was on. He was talking about the universe and everything else. I don't know where his head is, but he's saying that he's going to come back with a vengeance, like he's got something to prove, and hopefully he does. But I don't know. Just knowing too much about him,
Well, they didn't put him in the brightest lights, okay? He's also afraid of bears, too, so that doesn't help him out in northern Alberta. But, guys, he could be still a solid netminder. An improvement, at least, on Dubnyk.
Improvement, time will tell. I don't think goaltending is the whole problem with the Oilers. I think it's team defense. I think their back end doesn't have a lot of sandpaper, doesn't have a lot of grit. They get rid of one guy that actually I thought was a pretty good defenseman for them in Schmid on the weekend, which kind of surprised me.
But again, he's also on the bottom of the totem pole when you have guys like Belov, who's outperforming him, according to Dallas Eakins. And of course, you also have other guys who've kind of jumped in recently as well that have kind of made their mark with a couple goals as well. So defensively, they're not too bad. Fadoon, another example.
But Brizzy, yeah, it's a good experiment. We'll see in a few months' time where it lays. But I don't think you give up on Dubnyk. As everybody says that they want to throw in the towel on him, I still think there is some upside to him, and I still think he's going to be their goalie of their future.
No, I agree to that, because, back, who was it, Delorier and Dubnyk, they had to make that choice. They made Dubnyk the choice. I think they made the right choice. I remember Dubnyk when he was still playing in the Western League, playing here in the Civic Center, and I was impressed then, right? Like, he's had to do like East Coast all the way up, but thing is, it's a confidence thing with a goaltender, and they threw him underneath the bus right off the beginning of the season. He had no confidence, right? But in the last few games, he's played well. Like Greg said, defensively, they're terrible right now.
Horrible.
Like some of the goals they're letting in, you're letting one guy stand in front of the net by himself, and all 5 guys are watching the puck What are you doing?
But it's just not that. You watch them, and they're making turnovers in the neutral. They're making turnovers the offensive blue line again and again and again. That if your team or my team was doing that, those players would be sitting on the bench watching for a while. And it's like Jordan Eberle's doing that. Taylor Hall's doing that. Nuge is doing that. Gagne's doing that. So it's not just, the third or fourth liners that you can say, yeah, they have limited skill. These are your high skill guys that are making mistakes, and that's the reason why you're losing.
Okay, very quick, guys. Goalie fights. Gary Bettman wants to stop them in this situation. Of course, all due to Ray Emery and his bout with Braden Holtby. Guys, do you think they should be banned, or should they just have a certain accumulation type of thing where you have 2 fights, you're suspended for X amount of games, that type of thing? Or what do you guys make of this?
No, it shouldn't be banned. It's part of the game. It's heel rivalry. Ronnie Hextall wouldn't have been in the NHL if he couldn't go out in 200 guys, right?
Billy Smith, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't agree with Batman. I realize the game is changing. They're trying to take fighting out and everything, but it's part of the game.
I was going to say, you had Malcolm Subban in the AHL have a fight when Providence, I forget who they took on, but he got into a fight. And it was a mutual thing where they met at center ice and they did their thing. Both were sent off. But it was a mutual fight. They both agreed to it.
Mutual fight is different than what happened in Philadelphia. That was not a mutual fight.
That's right, yeah.
Emery came the length of the ice to fight Holtby, and Holtby was shaking his head all the way. Holtby wanted nothing to do with Emery, didn't want to fight, and not for the fact that Holtby doesn't know how to fight, which probably is one of the reasons, but the other reason is he doesn't want to get hurt. A lot of things can happen when you're fighting and you have pads on. You could slip, you could fall, you could twist a knee, you could do whatever. There has to be some accountability for a guy that, in a normal game, if a player goes after another player and the other player doesn't want to fight and doesn't give him even a chance, that player gets instigating, that player possibly get a match. I think that's what they should have done with Emery. They should have gave him a match, reviewed it by the league, and then determined whether or not how many games he gets.
All right, when we return, we're going to have Lloydminster's favorite game, and we're going to call this one Over Under, coming up.